Gianni Infantino has said that FIFA needs an open mind about when to stage tournaments to optimise for players and fans globally. He says if you want to play at the same time everywhere, then you can play in March or in October, most likely, because in December, you're not playing in one part of the world, and in July, we're not playing in another part of the world. We've got everybody still here to talk about this. I'm going to start with you, Gab, because there's been upset with FIFA before about domestic leagues and clubs feeling, and nations even feeling, that they're not always properly consulted over when some of these tournaments are going to be played.
Yeah, and look, I think from his point of view, you know, we are sort of playing whack-a-mole here, right? So he's saying, oh, look, you know, traditionally we've played in the summer, June and July. Y'all complained, we saw with the Club World Cup, about temperatures and weather and, you know, thunderstorms in the U.S. and obviously, well, Mexico and well, Canada, I suppose, will be milder. The fact is, if you want to play at an ideal time or anywhere in the world, it's March and October. And I'm not even sure about that. I don't know how much fun it is to be playing in Montreal or Boston, indeed, or Chicago or whatever in March. But I think his point is, on some level, we have to answer the question of what comes first: club football and the integrity of the leagues, or big FIFA competitions like the World Cup, like he hopes the Club World Cup will be as well. And do we put those in the best possible conditions? I think the answer for most of the world is no. The club game comes first. This is the grassroots. This is the lifeblood of the game. This is something that's been around way before the first World Cup in 1930. And so it's a non-starter. So I wouldn't get too bent out of shape over this. The risk, though, is that 211 voting nations in FIFA, and for many of them, domestically, the club game is far less important than the national team. That's not the case in Europe. Maybe that's not the case elsewhere, in some other places. But in a lot of places, that is the reality of it. So I think that's what's got people on edge. And, you know, now, oh, look, FIFA are going to move the World Cup to March and October. It's not going to happen. And there's many reasons why it won't happen. But I think what he's saying is true. Well, you know, the idea, and I'll throw this to all the ex-footballers we have here, there is an ideal time to play football around the world. It probably is, you know, late March, maybe April, maybe October. You know, that is optimal, but that belongs to the club game.
Do we need an open mind? We've seen the Winter World Cup now, by this point, Shaka.
So for me, that's kind of the point that Infantino is making, that there has to be some flexibility in domestic calendars, that you can play in the summer months. If the host nation, the summer months, well, the summer months here in the US, if that time of year is best for them, or if, as we saw in 2022, when you want to play the Middle East, you want to play in Australia, the months of November, December, January might be more ideal. And I am all for the World Cup being hosted in different parts of the world. They're different. It's a little bit more nuanced. My thoughts about that are a little bit more nuanced and just everybody has a right to it. And as a result, you're playing in what are the best conditions for that host nation, whatever that host nation is. I don't understand this March, October thing unless we just kind of deciding we're going to have it 1 month every 4 years. No, have that flexibility. You're talking about being open-minded, but then have that flexibility to play it June, July, August, or November, December, January, and have the domestic calendars give them enough warning that they can plan around that.
You're laughing at it. Go on, Jan.
No, I'm just thinking, let's not turn into a weather channel. The Football World Cup is not a weather channel, when is the best sun and the best temperature and something. This is the Football World Cup, one of the best brands in the world. And to Gab's point, 100% with him. I mean, Infantino loves to bring out stories like this, but this is also a power battle. I mean, the clubs, very, very powerful. The leagues, very, very powerful. So he knows what he's doing here. But let's not turn this into, oh yeah, I would love to have it in the morning, and us Europeans say, oh, we can't watch football in the middle of the night, and other parts of the world would say the same. I mean, this is the Football Club World Cup, and the football, the World Cup need to find their space in the calendar as well. Yes, I see your point, Xhaka, that you can give them some time, but I mean, a normal footballer, they're different around the world, what they see, but I'm so afraid of the World Cup to don't fix something that don't need to be fixed. I mean, there's so many bright ideas, and when you see now the Premier League will say, hey, listen, Premier League, can you stop for 2 months? Yeah, right, they will do that. Yeah, absolutely, Infantino. Well, great proposal.
And to Jan's point, fixing something that doesn't need to be fixed. Honestly, unless we're talking about the extreme temperatures in the Middle East, in Qatar, that sort of warrants the idea of playing a Winter World Cup instead of the regular Summer World Cup, I didn't know that there was an issue with the June-July period of time to play the World Cup. And mind you, this is a problem that you bring to yourself because you're choosing to play this World Cup in Qatar or Saudi Arabia or wherever it may be. Those are problems that you're creating for yourself. And why are you creating those problems for yourself? Oh, I wonder, wait, oh, money! So, look, I don't think that June, July should be a problem unless you make it a problem. And this is a problem that is brought about by FIFA on its own accord, creating an issue on its own. And now you want the rest of the world to accommodate you. And you want the world to change for you. I don't think that should be something that should be in play. If everybody knows that you're playing the World Cup in June, July, and we've known this for years upon years upon years, and it has worked for the many World Cups that Venezuela has missed. For all of them, it has worked. Why change it now?
To that point, Ali, well, yes, it's been this way since the World Cup started back in 1930, but to start with, it was hosted either South America or Europe. Now FIFA are trying to expand those venues or those host nations, which you saw in 2022. Saudi Arabia, are they carded to host the World Cup in was it 2034 or something? So you can't play that in Saudi Arabia in June. And
I just said, if it is extreme temperatures like that, you can do the Winter World Cup. Otherwise,
I think that's the point he's trying to make here. And while a lot of the focus is on the Men's World Cup, so let's say, I think there's an added conversation around the Women's World Cup, around the Club World Cup, similarly, that they can move those competitions from those June, July months to November, December, January. I think there's a broader conversation that needs to be had, because while FIFA are expanding those tournaments, and we've had our say on that, there are more and more nations who have extreme temperatures in June and July who also want to host some of those tournaments, not just the Men's World Cup. I think there's a far bigger offering here that Infantino is addressing.
But they've shown, fair enough, Xhaka. I like the way you're talking about that. Yeah, I think the whole world should be able to have it. But the thing is, what we're discussing now, we found a way in Qatar, a lot of discussions around it, that we can play it November, December, that there is a way. Now suddenly it's March and October. That is in the middle of every league, of the top leagues. I mean, in November, December, you can find a way, because in Germany they have the time off. Only England don't have time off, and they found it at Qatar. And now suddenly March, October, where did that come from? That's what I mean, is Weather Channel.
I think the March-October thing is a little bit of a throwaway, a little bit of a red herring, in him saying that these are the only months that you can have a tournament anywhere in the world without it being extreme temperatures. Not to suggest that he's saying, yeah, let's change our calendars to have it either in March and October. Yeah. He's just saying that this is the only time we can have it, which is no good for anybody. So therefore, we have to focus on those, again, June, July, November, December months.
Last point, Gab.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what Xhaka said, but also I think it's not that deep. There's an elephant in the room, which is that you're having a World Cup in Mexico, the US, and Canada. And I take on board what you said about, well, we've shown that, we can play it in November and December, and also we can play a World Cup in June and July. His argument is that, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but if you're going to have it in North America, you can't do either one without people moaning and complaining about the humidity and whatever. Because if you do it in the summer, you'll have an issue. If you do it in winter, good luck playing, in Canada or in some of the northern United States in winter. So I think his point is that there will always be some level of issue with the players and the heat. And as long as it doesn't actually become dangerous, and there was an argument for certainly Qatar in the summer just being actually dangerous for the players out there, we can live with it. We played a World Cup final in 1994 in LA at the Rose Bowl, and that game kicked off at noon under the midday sun. So, and wasn't a great game, and I really didn't like the outcome. But you know what? People live with it. So I think there's a level of tolerance I think that people have to have. This is not going to be a phenomenal spectacle from a purely athletic performance, but World Cups rarely are.
The only solution is to play every World Cup in Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela.
Absolutely.
Absolute winner.
We can play that anytime.
Any time of the year.
And you're throwing your hats into the ring to be at all of those World Cups, no doubt?
Well, as
ESPN
host
FC?
nations, we are entitled to be.
All right.